Sentry mode activated. Target acquired.
Hey there, hunters. Again, still doing more Remnant stuff, hoping to see more mod work in the future. I've been playing the From Hell mod a lot more, and I've been trying new builds in this version. Since the mod did change up a lot of the game, new builds are able to be made and sometimes required for Hell difficulty, since, yeah, it's hard. You really do need to get your build together to get through it without pulling your hair out. Anyway, today we're going to be looking at the Alternator. This weapon got a lot of changes. One of my favorite changes is that the snowballs it shoots now actually travel faster, which is amazing because it felt so awful to shoot before. Some other fun things about the Alternator here in the From Hell mod is that, wait for it, there are alternate versions of it. So the standard Alternator works like the vanilla game, except now that the standard shots inflict frostbite, so you can actually alternate between frost and fire. It also makes a prismatic ring way more worthwhile to take. There are two other versions of the Alternator though. You can buy them from Macbeth in town. One has the Burninator mod that turns the gun essentially into a rocket launcher. The other is effectively a fire shotgun, and you can guess which one I prefer. So both of these alternators can't apply frostbite on the standard shots. That is saved to its base form. Just a heads up. And while still a very simple weapon, the Alternator now functions well in all aspects of the game. Even here on Hell difficulty, we can effectively crowd control with the base version since we can, freeze and do large pools of fire. We can snipe and single target with the Burninator rockets, and we have a happy mix of the two with the shotgun variant. Hell, we can even swap between them on the fly without changing any other gears, so it's just really good now. But I'm going to stick to using one and showcasing one. I'm going to be focusing here on the fire shotgun, and honestly, this build is extremely simple. I just wanted to highlight the Alternator here since it's actually usable here in the From Hell mod, which is a big step up compared to the base game. But it is going to play much more like a standard range damage build. We're going to be supporting the Alternator with either the Hive Cannon with Corrosion, or the revolver with corrosive aura for corrosion. Corrosion is really strong in this game and lets us focus on our Alternator as we can simply just apply corrosion and swap back. We're going to be using labyrinth armor again because of course we're going to be focusing on the mod damage with our alternators, so this makes sense. We can also use the void armor if you want to be a more hybrid build and have the primary shots be more effective. I don't recommend Scrapper too much, even though it does do all forms of damage in close range, because these rockets can hurt yourself, so you don't want to be too close. Now, the amulet, up to you, but you do have a few choices. I use the charcoal necklace because that makes our dot ticks hurt a lot more. You can also use Galenic Charm, which increases the initial damage of the rockets significantly more, but with less dot damage. And you would get better damage off Hive Cannon's clouds for what it's worth. You can also use the Amulet of Ipecac to give you some crazy good mod generation because that's fixed in the From Hell version, which lets you spam rockets way more. The rings are also semi-negotiable. I use Burden of the Follower and Spirit Stone, purely for mod generation and of course a little bit of mod damage. But you can use Evoker Seal paired with the Ipecac Amulet to get even more mod generation. Like having Evoker Seal with Labyrinth Armor on gives you so much mod power back, it's insane. Or you can use the Ring of Supremacy if you're feeling confident on not taking damage. 20% damage affects literally everything and is typically the best option. Or you can use the Prismatic Ring. While not as strong as Ring of Supremacy, there's basically no conditions attached to it, and it is going to affect essentially everything we do, especially if we're using the Hive Cannon. So with this setup, we can effectively run through trash enemies just spamming rockets along the way since we generate such a huge amount of mod power. It's always available. Now the fire pools and the fire dot kind of take care of most of the enemies, especially with the charcoal necklace on. Elites aren't too much of an issue, assuming that you do have some mod power before they show up. A few shots of rockets should do the trick for most enemies. Now since you don't deal weak spot damage with these rockets, you don't actually have to aim for certain spots. You can just body shot them and watch them be engulfed in flames. Now the bossing isn't too bad either since the Alternator mod does do solid work, but it's still not the best build for bossing because it relies a bit on dot damage and mod power, which is slow. Now the normal fire for these new alternators is still fairly bad since they don't freeze, so it's a lot of alternating between these and rockets, which makes sense. I'm just saying that the DPS is not steady like snipers, shotguns, and SMGs and stuff because it's got to go, low damage with primary shots and then dump all of your mod power with the rockets and then back and forth kind of thing. So the Alternator has never really been a gun that was desired in the base game Remnant due to its extremely slow projectile speed, a locked mod, conflicting damage types, and the mod itself just didn't do much better than Wildfire Shot. But I'm glad to see that it's been given some new life here in the From Hell mod. But that's all for me though. Thank you all for watching, and good luck out there, hunters.